Hi guys, again today and welcome back to my channel. We're back in another Sims 4 build challenge, and today we're going to do a build where each room is going to be based off a different Sims 4 career. So on my wheel here I have added every single Sims 4 career that I have a pack for, including the part-time careers and including the freelance careers. So we have a fair few, so let's give it a spin and see what our exterior is going to be. We are going to get paranormal investigator. Okay, I think this is going to be fun. For our exterior I am thinking we should do something Victorian, something a little bit gothic. So I'm going to put down a foundation just to start off with, because I know I want this to be on a raised platform, and then maybe we can come in and try and work with some columns of some sort. That might be good. Okay, and then to roof it I would kind of like a big tower section here. So let's see if I can kind of get that to work. Okay, maybe something like this, and then I might bring out the eaves slightly so they overhang. Okay, so I've kind of roofed it slightly. These are going to be balconies, so I'm going to leave them. So I've just come in and added in our roof. I've added in this little kind of dormer there just to kind of break up that roof. I might add a second one. I might go with this trim. It's from For Rent and I'm absolutely obsessed with it, but I think it's a nice kind of gothic. It kind of gives a little bit of interest to the roof, so I think I'm going to use that one. And then I think I'm going to use these railings from Vampires and kind of add them around our balcony areas. Okay, I've changed it slightly, so we've shuffled things around just so I could fit in this overhang for our wraparound porch. I made the tower slightly bigger. I added a chimney onto the back. We still have our decks around, and we had to move these windows across, but I think the exterior looks a little bit better now. Maybe this even needs one extra bump on it. So I think for our front door I'm going to use this one for a movie hangout. It's kind of rounded and I kind of like that. I was looking for one that had stained glass windows, but all the ones with stained glass I feel are a bit small and don't match. And then I might come in with these Vampires windows and kind of put them around and see what they look like. I don't know if it's going to be too much with the frames. I don't know if it's going to look a bit weird, but we'll go with it and see how we feel. Okay, I've just kind of loosely put some around and some doors and stuff. That will probably change when we do our floor plan, but for now I'm just going to keep them so I've kind of roughly got windows in. Okay, I've kind of just started adding in a few things. I've added in these gargoyles around this tower and some of the old ivy. I've added in a bunch of trees. I just kind of want to give it a creepy feel. I've added in some of these roof decorations and pointing bits to all the roof, and then I'm adding in this well around here which I'm gonna decorate, because I feel maybe they can commune with the dead, or maybe, I don't know, they kind of are going and interacting with other spirits and stuff, and this is kind of where they go. Maybe it's a little bit cursed. I'll come into the debug menu just to kind of see what things I can find, and I found this fencing, so I'm going to try and add this around the whole exterior and see how it goes. And then instead of a gate, I think I'm going to end these with some of these really dramatic statues, and there are some on the pillars, and kind of just add these as end points and a feature, yeah, these ones into the build. I guess I really want this build to kind of be a bit spooky, where kind of all the kids in the local neighborhood dare each other to come and ring the doorbell, because they think the person who lives here, this witch is going to come out and get them, so they're all really scared of it. Okay, so on the deck I've just added in I've kept it kind of simple. A few benches, a couple of pots of flowers, and some lights around, just to kind of give them somewhere to sit, but I don't want to put anything too crazy out there. And I've had a really cool idea of what I want to do with this space back here, so we're going to move on to that next. Okay, so for this space I want to lean into maybe this well having supernatural abilities, so I want to give them a place where they could come out and do seances. And maybe they do private bookings where people can come in and try and speak to their dead loved ones, and they kind of come out here under this tree by this fountain to try and kind of commune with the dead. So I've kind of fenced it off because I kind of want it to feel it a little bit secluded. And then I'm going to switch out this table for this one from Vampires, so we've kind of got a bit more space and more people can come at a time, I guess. And then at the back here I think I'm going to turn this into a bit of a shrine, so I'm going to come in with these paranormal ones, and I'm just going to kind of layer them all around it, and maybe add some to the table too, as if when they're doing their seances. I feel every time I've seen a seance in a movie they light candles. It's all dark and it's all a bit spooky, so we're going to add all of these around, and they're all old, to kind of give the effect that, this has happened a lot of times. They've had a lot of people over here. And then I'm going to also add in some bunches of flowers around, because I think also when people create these monuments and stuff like that, they leave little offerings of flowers and maybe little toys we can add, just of things that they've given as an offering, I guess, to their relatives. I'm going to add a little stuffed bear because I think it's morbid and super creepy. that they might have like left that there. And then I'm going to add in a bunch of this base game overgrown grass to kind of give this garden like a little bit of like a jungle feel. Okay, and then I might layer in some of this like alien mushroom plants. I think this comes from Debug, but it's from Get to Work, because I think maybe like if they are like messing with different supernatural things over here, I kind of feel like I want the like land surrounding it to reflect that. So maybe everything is kind of dying off because they're messing with things they shouldn't. You've got all these like weird things starting to grow from maybe like rituals they've been doing, like that have been like messing with everything, like in the land around it. And then I might come in and add in some of these mushrooms. I can like size them down to like super small and kind of hidden, and just kind of dot them around. So there's like subtle evidence that like, you know, something weird is going on here, and maybe they are interacting with things they shouldn't be interacting with. And over here I might add in like a stand, and then again we can add some like offerings and stuff to it. But I'm gonna add in these photo frames because I feel like maybe they add, I know they're all of pairs, but maybe they're empty now, but maybe when they're doing like these rituals they add pictures of the person they're trying to contact like dotted around to kind of get that better connection with them. And then we obviously need some sage so that when they're done, they can hopefully dispel any negative energy. And then I might just add in another bunch of flowers from the cottage living pack there. I also added in some lanterns around, so like at night now it kind of looks really cool and a bit mystical. Imagine with all these like candles lit. I think it'd be really creepy back here. And then at the side here, I would like to add in a graveyard. And I know you might be like, that's really weird for a paranormal investigator. Maybe when they go to someone's house and they perform like an exorcism to get rid of a ghost that's hanging around, they bring the ghost back with them and they're like, I will dispose of them properly so then they won't come back and haunt you. Okay, so I've added in a couple of gravestones, and then I've added in loads of grass where it's overgrown. We've got some trees, some little statues here, and then a place for people to sit, and then as they come around they enter like our seance-y area over here. And then we also have this side of the garden, and I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm thinking maybe a pond here would look quite cool. Okay, I've just kind of added in loads of grass everywhere, filled it in. We've added in our little pond, and I'm gonna add this ghost of a gnome just sat there haunting it. I think that's it for outside. Okay, let's spin it and see what we're gonna get for our entryway. We are going to get handy person. Okay, cool. Okay, so I am thinking this room is going to look very DIY. For flooring, I want to use these floorboards because maybe they've come in and hand laid them. And then I might come in with this, something like this for the walls, because you know they're handy. They could make all of this like intricate detailing themselves, which I think would be quite cool. And I might change the flooring to this one so it matches, and maybe they stained it. That would be cool. And then over here we can add like the woodworking bench, because maybe they brought it in here when they were like renovating this room and they've like left it here. And then by the side of it I'm going to add in this bench here because again it looks handmade, and this is kind of where they can keep all their tools. Okay, so I've just added in a couple of the Debug tools items. So I think this is a screwdriver. I think this is for tenderizing meat, but it kind of looks like a hammer. Some pencils and stuff so they can like make notes and like take sizing, and then their notebook that they work from. Some boxes and stuff of just equipment. A dustpan and brush so they can clean up after themselves. These are from Crystal Creations, and they've just kind of got tools looking at them, so it's just kind of storage. And then on the floor I've added in like a hardy rugs because I'm probably dropping things all the time, so it's like to protect the floor. And then I would like to find a light, and I feel like they'd probably have something, maybe even this one, like something very just fit for purpose. It doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, it's just there to light up the space because that's what they want. Maybe even like this bare bulb one. Okay, so I've added in just a couple of bits around. I added in some of these like handmade sculptures to this storage rack as if maybe they make them in their spare time and they like display them there. Added in a plant with an award above it, maybe they've won like a handyman award. And then just some general clutter over here that you'd have in an entryway. But I think we're going to do this room, and I was thinking this could be a cute bathroom, so let's go spin what we're going to get for this. Okay, so for that downstairs bathroom we are going to get a vet. Okay, so I think we're going to kind of utilize the cats and dogs pack a bit, so I might come in with this wooden floor, and then we could also do this wallpaper. So I think I'm going to put in like the bathroom suite first, and then we'll come back and make it pets or vets afterwards. I think I might use these jungle adventure counters because the woods kind of match. And then I'm going to use this snowy escape sink. In the corner here I'm going to add in just a base game bath. And then over here we can add this shower from Snowy Escape. And then I think I'll put the toilet on this wall and we'll use the fancy one from, again, Snowy Escape. Okay, cool. So now let's add in some pet stuff. And I think the first thing I'm going to add is a litter box. So let's get one of those. Let's get this fancy one. Because I feel like vets would have pets, which is why I'm adding the stuff. And I think they'd give their pet the best stuff. So this is the self-cleaning one. So we can pop that there. Actually moved it over by the toilet. So we can add in something else here. I kind of want to add in some like treats to the side. I know that might be like slightly gross, but I feel like they'd just have treats dotted around their whole house for like when they see their pets, like, okay, you're cute, I'll give you something. And then for a rug, I think it'd be really cute if we sized up these like paw pads and kind of made them look like bath mats. I might go with this like pinky colour, and I'm going to do one by the bath as well. And then on the walls, I want to see if I can find some portraits of pets or something. So like maybe they take pictures, or maybe we could come in with these like vet ones. Maybe they got them at like a conference or something and they've put them in their bathroom. Or maybe they're like studying for veterinary school and they've got like info boards around. So do you know, like as they're brushing their teeth, they can like study up on different procedures and stuff. I don't want to give them this lamp because I feel like they'd think it was super cute when they saw it and they'd just like pop it in their bathroom. And then we'll get this fish light shade, because again, it's animal themed. I might put like a small cat scratch in here, because I feel like sometimes when people like leave their pets, they put them in the bathroom. Like if the handyman is coming over and they need to like lock their pet away, they might put it in the bathroom so like it's safe. Okay, and I think this is going to be our vet themed bathroom, so it's very pet themed. I think we have our cat thing over here, and then I added in this shelving unit of these like statues of dogs and cats. Maybe they represent their own pets. I added in some frames here because I think they would take pictures of all their pets and they could go in these frames. A mirror above the toilet. I added some plants around and just some general animal themed thing. Okay, next let's go into this, which is going to be our kitchen diner, and let's go spin for what we're going to get. I wonder if we can be lucky and get something like the chef. That would be so good. We are going to get, ooh, business. Okay, we can work with that, I think. Okay, I think I'm going to start with this. I've done the dine out marble flooring in white. I've just done white walls, and then I've given them this very like modern kind of sleek backsplash from City Living. And then let's see what we're going to do for a kitchen suite. I was thinking this one from Base Game. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. Let's keep going. Maybe I'll change the flooring. I am going to give them a double oven just because I think it suits this build. And then we can pop a fridge in over here. Okay, I'm going to change this flooring to this one. I think it kind of looks a little bit better. And then I'm going to give them this black and gold sink from Base Game. And then I think they'd 100% have a fancy coffee maker. So we're going to do this one from Get Together. You know, they're going to be tired. They're going to be up in meetings all the time. So they're going to need to keep something to keep that energy up, you know. And then for decorations and stuff, I'm not going to add too much. I think they would keep their space very organised and very put together. So, okay, I've just added in literally a tiny amount of things. So I've added in a rug, this light. I've given them some storage on this wall. And just some general clutter, because like I said, I don't think they'd have a lot out. I think it would be very sleek and minimal here. And then I was thinking about maybe adding an island. I don't know if we're going to have enough room. Let's do it and see what it looks like. What do we think? Honestly, I don't know. I might leave it and see how we feel about it. I'm going to add like a big bunch of flowers to the middle of it. Maybe that's what it's missing. Okay, cool. And then here in our dining area, I kind of want it to be multi-purpose. So let's add in a dining table first and get that going. I'm going to do this table from Base Game. Then I think these chairs from Base Game. I don't really have any modern looking tables for some reason. So we're just going to go with a plain wooden one. And then on top of it, I think I'm just going to keep it classic and go with it like a fruit bowl. I'm going to tuck it more into this corner, I think, and find a big piece of art to go on this back wall. Maybe this one. It's trying to get to work, but maybe that's like a company logo or something. Yeah, let's go with that one. And then over here, I kind of want to give them a bit of an office setup. I switched out the table for this longer one because I want it to also be like a conference table, I guess. And then I'm going to give them this whiteboard here. So like as they're hosting meetings, someone can like be up there drawing on it and like making notes just as they're like going along. And then I might add in this microphone because maybe they're going to practice their charisma skill. And then I'm going to also add in this from Seasons again, just another pin board. Maybe they put all their like ideas for all their businesses on this board in the corner there. I'm going to add in this momentum conserver. Do I know what it is? No, but it's from Get to Work, and maybe it's something that they're currently working on, or maybe it's an award. It could literally be anything you want it to be because it's so ambiguous. I don't know what it is. And then either side of it, I'm going to add in some of these like awards from from the Get Famous pack, because maybe they've like won awards for like the best businessman of the year or the best businesswoman speech. I don't really know, but I'm going to add those either side there. And then on the table here, I'm just going to add in a couple of laptops, because I think when people come over here and they're having like meetings, they'd all be typing away on their laptops. And I think on this wall here, I'm going to come in and add in again some more of these awards, or some more things that look like they could be awards that they've won, and then they've just put them on their wall. And then I kind of want to add a light above it, so like I feel like they'd turn that light on and kind of really light up that space because they're really proud of everything they've won. Okay, cool. So I think this is our business themed kitchen slash diner. So this end is our dining room slash with like our meeting rooms. We have places where we can present, host meetings, and kind of have people around. We have our awards displayed and some art. I gave them a money tree because maybe this is where it all started. You know, they got given this as a young person, and then they've collected the money from it, which allowed them to have their first business opening. And then this is their kitchen. I've kept it very sleek, very organized. I think they're very busy, so they probably wouldn't want clutter everywhere, and maybe they even have a personal chef, so they're not really in there too much. And yeah, that is our business themed kitchen diner. And now let's move on to our living room. So what are we going to get for our living room? We are going to get politician. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I imagine for the politician, we're gonna set this up so it kind of looks staged, if that makes sense. I imagine maybe they hold press conferences out of this room, and their advisors are like, you know, it needs to look homey. It needs to look like you've got your life together, like you've got that perfect life for the background. So I think we're going to stitch like these earthy tones. It's going to be very like kind of your stereotypical family living room is kind of what I'm going for. I'm going to add in a nice fireplace there, which can be like a focal feature. And then we'll give them like a TV and some couches and stuff. So I might use this TV unit. I feel like when rooms are staged like this, everything has a purpose and there is a meaning behind everything. So I'm going to use very blocky furniture and very sturdy furniture to kind of subtly give the view that this person has got their life together. They're a solid, dependable person. And it kind of subconsciously, that's it. So you're looking at this furniture and your subconscious mind is drawing conclusions based off of it that you're not even aware is happening. So I might come in with this base game sofa, or we could let's do the other one. Let's do this book nook one because it's very cozy and it's very comfy, and I think this would look like a nice place for them to have their press conferences from. And let me just might do a round wooden coffee table in the centre. I might do this rug from High School Years, but I'm going to switch out the coffee table. Actually, I don't like that. Maybe we can do this one from Base Game instead. And then on top of it, I'm just going to add in a bunch of flowers. Again, in like a neutral, calming tone, because I think that's what they would want to reflect as they're giving their press conferences. And then maybe we'll add in like a couple of bunches of flowers either side of the TV. I'm going to add in this light above the living room area here to like really brighten it up. And then in the background, I'm going to add in these bookshelves from the Crystal Creations kit, and I'm going to line them all here. So when they're doing their press conferences, the people can see the books in the background, so they'll think they're like really clever, and also you do need it for the skill. And then in this corner here, I'm going to add in a couple of desks from Seasons, so they've all got somewhere to like sit down and use the computer and like research and stuff. I kind of imagine like while the politician is doing like their speech sat on these sofas, all their advisors and everyone who works with them is kind of sat at these computers typing away, doing whatever they need to do in the background, kind of maybe looking at the news to see how it's all going and how the people are like taking the speech and if they're believing them or if they're not really sold on it. And then I might add a couple of these screens onto the wall, because I think maybe this politician would have like a lot of security, so maybe this could be like a live feed of either all the different news outlets to see what is being shown, or maybe like an outdoor view of like the house so that they can see if anyone is trying to break in. And then I feel like I'm going to put a big piece of art on here. I might go with this one. And I feel like maybe it's like a self-portrait of them. And they come over here and maybe before their speech they're like, you've got this. And they like talk to themselves. And this is like their presidential profile picture. I'm also just going to add in a mirror there because, you know, before they go on camera, they're going to want to make sure they look good. And they can practice their speeches and get that charisma skill up. On the same like thread, I'm going to add in a microphone just tucked behind there. So they've got somewhere where they can practice speeches and kind of figure things out. And then I'm going to come in and get this board as well that we use in the kitchen and pop one of those in. Because I feel like this is where they all kind of generate ideas and kind of whiteboard things that they might want to talk about. or that they want to cover in all of their speeches. I've added a couple of like family pictures here because if the camera does get them when they're doing their speech, I think they'd want to come across as a family person and like a family man. And I think that is it for our politics living room. It's very staged, it's very fake, I guess. So this is where they do their presidential or political speeches. You know, they're giving that impression that they've got their life together, they're a family person, and they want you to subconsciously pick up on that. So it's very cozy, it's very warm. They've got pictures of their family in the background as if like, you know, I've got a family, I know how to take care of my family, let me take care of yours. And then in the background here we've kind of got the stuff that the audience doesn't necessarily see. We have like the area where they can get ready for their speeches, and then all their team would be over here monitoring how the speech is being received, just kind of maybe making changes and giving them feedback, like standing there being like, no, don't talk about this, talk about this instead. So yeah, that is my take on what I think a politician's living room would look like. And then let's go into this room. Maybe we can do an office in here. So for the office, we are going to have, a detective. I thought it was going to be a culinary then. A detective. Okay, this is going to be fun. So for the floor, I might just carry this one through again, and we can just do this wooden floor. And then I might also just carry in, for now, we'll do the same wallpaper, and then we might change that as we go along. I'm just going to quickly add these curtains around just so that I can figure out where the furniture is going to go. And I'm going to put them all the way across. I'm going to cover our windows completely because I feel like this sim would be in the dark. You know, they've been staring at their screen for so long. They don't want like natural light to come through, so they have their windows drawn all the time. In this bay here, I'm going to add in this really nice sturdy desk, and then also computers, so they've got somewhere to research everything they need to and kind of try and hunt down the people they're trying to hunt down. And then I'm going to add in this really old-fashioned lamp next to it because I'm obsessed with it and I love it. On this wall, I'm going to come in and add in a couple of these, which are like the missing poster chalkboards. And I think maybe they would keep track of what's going on, like, you know, who's going missing, if there's any trends, and they'd kind of pin them all to their wall. And then I'm also going to add in the whiteboard so that they can, do you know like in movies where you see like the conspiracy theorists and they've got like a chalkboard out, they've pinned loads of pictures, they've got red string going to and from all of them trying to find links, and I think that's where they would do this. I'm going to add in a couple of bookcases on this wall just so they've got somewhere to like look things up if they need to. And then here I'm going to add a sofa so they have somewhere where they can sit down and probably sleep. I feel like they spend a lot of time in this office and they're probably falling asleep in here quite often. And then next to it, I'm going to add in this cupboard, which I think would be used as storage, and I'm also going to put a coffee machine on it. Okay, I think this is our detective's office. So over here he has his desk where he's got like his mug of coffee, a book where he's like taking notes. He's got so many stacks of boxes around of maybe evidence and stuff that he's just keeping hold of. He's got his boards where they can like take down different ideas they've got and kind of try and draw links between missing people or just suspects and stuff. Bookcases in case he needs to research something. He's got a bed in case he needs to crash out here. And then I've given him a coffee stand so that, you know, he can keep his energy up, and just some more storage over there in the corner. And that is it for downstairs, I believe. So let's go upstairs and we will do our first bedroom, which I think we will do this one. Okay, so I had to remove a couple because it was glitching out. So I just removed the part-time jobs. We still have all of our full-time careers. So our first bedroom's theme is going to be a salary person. Okay, so not gonna lie, I did not know what this career was, but after googling it, it appears that this career is all about data analysis, spreadsheets, and all that fun stuff. So apparently it's good for Sims who are workaholics, so I guess we will include that in this build. Since they are a workaholic, I think they'd keep this very basic. They've probably not done much like customization to it because they're always at work, so they don't really care what their bedroom looks like. They're not spending a lot of time in here. So for now I'm going to do a dark brown, and then we'll come back once we figure out like the rest of the theme of the room and possibly change it. So I might come in with this bed, and I'm thinking maybe of going grey tones. I kind of feel like they'd buy things just to fit purpose rather than for aesthetic reasons. So and maybe everything they just want to match, they've picked a colour and they're like, right, everything will be grey because I know then it will match, and they don't really have to think about the aesthetic or colour schemes or anything like that. And then I'm going to go with these greyish curtains from Eco Lifestyle, and I've pushed the bed right up to to the side because I want to add some other stuff that would be to do with their work, and I feel like that would take priority over the bed, so they've just kind of pushed it over to give them as much space as possible. I might give them this desk from Get to Work, and then we'll give them like a fancy computer, maybe a laptop so they can take it with them, and then a sturdy chair because they're going to be spending quite a lot of time sat there. And then I'm going to give them this very sturdy dresser, just so that they've got one that is probably from IKEA. They probably got all of this stuff at exactly the same time so that they didn't have to think about it. I'm going to give them a plant here because I feel like maybe their friend was like, dude, your room is so depressing. Let me give you a plant to add at least some form of colour in there. And they've just kind of left it there. It's growing a bit wild because they've really not bothered with it. And then on top of the dresser here, I'm going to add in this clothes stack because maybe they've just done their laundry and they've just not got around to putting it away yet because they're so busy with everything else. And then a stack of books that they've currently been reading. I'm going to give them a light on their bedside table, but again, a very just a very functional one. It's not really aesthetic. And then the same for their desk light. On the desk, I'm going to add in some of these folders. You know, they're halfway through doing their jobs. They've kind of got all these financial, maybe journals out on their desk while they're working on them. And then I'm going to give them also a corkboard above their desk. I'm going to give them some of these like storage units by their desk where they keep all of their documents and any supplies they might need to do their job. And then on top I might add in a couple of these boxes just from where they've had so much paperwork they've kind of run out of room and it started spilling out over the rest of the surfaces. Then for a rug I'm going to add in this one, which is from Get Together, again in just a grey. And I kind of don't want to put anything on the walls. I just don't think they would. I don't think they'd have any personalisation in here. Like I said, they're not in here very often. They're always at work and they just don't really care. Maybe their office desk has more decorations than their own bedroom. I think that would be kind of funny. Okay, and I think that is going to be it for our salary person's bedroom. It's very stark and I've done that on purpose. So their bed is pushed into the corner. It's kind of, although it's their bedroom, it's the second priority above all their work stuff. They've got all their awards over here. Their storage where they can keep all their files. I've added in this picture of maybe like that's their work. Maybe they're on like a team building weekend and they took a picture. They're mid-works, they've got files everywhere. And then behind them they've got a bookshelf maybe of all like their accounting books and stuff. And then their laundry because they've not put it away yet. So that is our salary person's bedroom. And I guess now we will do this little hallway. Okay, so for that tiny hallway we are going to get... Is it writer or is it artist? Writer! Okay, not gonna lie. I'm a little bit sad. I'd have liked to have writer as like an official room because it is one of my favourites, but it is fine. We will take it in this form anyway. So let's do a dark brown flooring with a dark brown wall, I think. And then I'm going to kind of get in this lamp because it looks a little bit old, which I think they would have. I have too much space, but I would like to fit in some bookcases. I wonder if we can add these ones from the Book Nook kit, kind of going around this staircase here. I don't know how you would access them. Maybe they are more for looks than function. Kind of like maybe where it's gotten to the point that they've brought so many books that they've run out of space and are now having to display them above the stairs. I'm going to add like a little end table here and I'm going to add a bunch of books to it. And then we can maybe put this like little coffee stand as if they're like mid-book and they've just kind of put that down there. And then here we'll put one of these, which I think would be a book cover. I want to get a super fluffy cozy rug, so I'm going to use this one from Snowy Escape and just pop it there. And then on this wall here, I think I'm just going to add in more books. Again, I kind of want it to kind of give the impression that they've brought so many that it's kind of spilling out of the original room and like flowing, and even like their hallway it's overrun by books. Okay, I think this is our writers themed hallway. So we have literally as many books as we could fit in. I've put a couple of plants on there just to break it up. And then over here they have like an end table with, again, more books. Maybe this is their favourite book cover. This is like maybe their favourite author. And then they've got like a little stand here where they've got a quill and then they've just kind of put their book down and their cup of coffee. Okay, so now let's do this one. And this is going to be another bedroom. So for our second bedroom, we are going to get... Ooh, Simfluencer. Okay, this is going to be cool. Okay, so the Simfluencer came with high school years and it's an online career where you basically make a living by being an online influencer kind of thing. So I want this room to be very aesthetic. I want to have loads of places where they can take pictures, you know, to post on their Instagram or the Sims version of that. So for maybe a wall, we can kind of do maybe a feature wall and then a colour to go with it. You could maybe do this wall here, and then we'll just kind of do a pink wall everywhere else. And then for the bed, I think I'll go with this one from high school years, and we'll do it in this like pinky swat. And then I'm going to get the matching end table. And then for the lamps on each of them, I'm going to put in these candles. Again, I want it to be aesthetic, so maybe they could put a product on this end table here and have like a good backdrop. And then in this corner here, we will do our dresses. And I think we'll just get the ones that match the bed. And then I'm going to give them a mirror here as well. Just so while they're trying on their clothes, they've got somewhere to kind of check everything out and make sure they're looking okay. And then for the curtains, I might use these ones from Movie Hangout because they're very like luxurious, I feel like. So this is kind of the basic of our bedroom. We'll come back and add some bits. But I want to move on to this area here. And this is going to be mostly where I think they're going to take all their pictures and do like their influencing. So I do want them to have a computer because obviously that is an online career, so we need somewhere for them to do that. And then I might give them this PC from the Pastel Pop kit, and then I'm going to give them this mirror, and I know they have one in the other room, but I think they'd have a funky one to take pictures in of like maybe the fashion or the clothes that they're trying to advertise. And I'm going to add like a big fluffy plant next to it, because I feel like if you're stood here and you can kind of see the mirror and the plant in the picture, it's just going to add like a really cool just pop of colour. And then over here, I think I'm going to use this side table from the Pastel Pop kit. Again, just somewhere if they maybe need to take pictures of like lotions or like physical products, they've got somewhere cool where they can put them down. And I'm going to add this print in the background. And then like this camera scene thing. So they've kind of got little props they can add into the pictures to make it look nicer. Okay, so I think that is like the influencer corner. So they have their desk here where they can get ready, but also where they do like all their work. I've added in some art here, again, just for backdrops for pictures. I think it'd be cute if they had the cat, which like featured in their pictures. I added in like a little cat scratcher and then a bench. And then over here we have another work surface where they can take product pictures. So we've got like the cameras and stuff, and then like a nice backdrop, and then a mirror if they need to take like pictures of clothes or any like things they've been sent that need a floor length mirror. So let's go back into like the main bedroom and add a couple more things in here. I think that is going to be it for our Simsfluencer bedroom. It's very aesthetically pleasing. They've got lots of places where they can take pictures and edit their videos. And yeah, I think that is it done. So next let's move on to this one, which is going to be our upstairs bathroom. So for our secondary bathroom, our theme is going to be... Oh my god, please be criminal, please be criminal, please be criminal, please be criminal. That is so funny. Okay, we're gonna have a criminal bathroom. Okay, so I feel like there's so many ways you could do this, but I am going to take on a kind of a creepy feel. So I'm going to do white tiles, and I'm also going to do a white tile like wall as well, because I feel like if they're doing dodgy business in here, you know, maybe removing people, they're going to want it to be white so that they can see where they need to clean, if that makes sense. I think over here I'm going to do the counters, and I'm going to do these ones from Base Game because they look kind of industrial. They look like they'd be made of like a stainless steel, so that it'd be, again, easy to wipe down. And I'm going to give them 2 sinks so they've got like maximal place to clean things up. I'm gonna also pop some towels, so like, you know, as they're like cleaning, they've got something they can wipe things down with. And I'm gonna try and keep everything white just so, you know, you can see the stains and see what needs to go. And then I think we'll add in a couple of these get to work mirrors above. I think they'd want to like check their appearance before they leave to make sure that they're not incriminating themselves in any way that may still be on their appearance. And we'll add like a mirror above each one. And then over here we will do our bath, and I think we're going to do a separate bath and a shower because I think the shower curtain could potentially get quite dirty quite quickly. So I think they'd want to keep it like everything would be as easy to wipe down as possible. And then maybe we can add some of this newspaper on the floor. Maybe they put this down, you know, to kind of soak up as much mess as is possible. And then I'm going to give them some fluffy rugs because I feel like after they've done their criminal business and they've like taken a shower and cleaned up, I think it'd be super cute if they like get into like a nice fluffy robe and like maybe like bunny slippers to like go and relax for the day. For the toilet, I'm going to use this one from City Living, and it's one that talks to you because I feel like maybe this sim doesn't get that much social interaction outside of their job. So, you know, they want someone to talk to. And maybe they can confess their things to the toilet to kind of get it off their chest because they can't like tell a real person. And then I think we also are going to pop a camera in the corner of the room so that they can keep track of what's going on here. Maybe people are left in here for a little bit of time before the criminal gets around to dealing with them, so they want to make sure that they can keep an eye on them and make like they're not escaping or anything. I think it'd be cool as well if they had one of these boards that have like local missing people on there, so that they can keep a track of who the police are like interested in and who the police are like looking for, so that they can kind of cover their tracks and see if they are on anybody's radar. And then I'm gonna add one of these drains from Get Together under the window there, because you know they're going to be scrubbing down the floor quite a lot and they're going to need somewhere for all that water to go. And then maybe we'll add like a little dustpan and brush tucked away there. Again, they're going to need to clean this space up, so they're going to need somewhere where they can do that. And then we'll add a medicine cabinet, because I feel like maybe they need to maybe they need to, you know, give the victims something to kind of keep them subdued, and that would maybe be kept in there. I'm gonna add a little plant, because I feel like even criminals like aesthetic things sometimes, and it's nice to have a little bit of greenery in the room. I mean, we could go like a little bit dark. I mean, darker than what I've spoken about, and add in a knife rack underneath here. You know, they might need it for their job. I'm pretty sure there's like a bag of overflowing money that I wanted to add, but there is this one that I found because I can't find the other one, and I'm just going to kind of tuck it away, because maybe they sometimes get paid for their services and they've not got around to putting it away yet. So it's just tucked there, hidden, I guess, in case anybody comes in here. Okay, cool. So I think this is going to be our criminal-themed bathroom. So it's very easy to clean down, let's say. We have some sinks over here and maybe some tools for the trade. They have a camera so they can keep track of what's going on in here. And then over here they have their bathroom suite. They've got some stuff on the floor in case things get a little bit messy. And then they've got a notice board so they can keep an eye and make sure the police aren't after them. So now let's go on to our third bedroom. So for our next bedroom, we are going to get... Ooh, which is it going to be? It is Artist. Okay, cool. I'm going to go with like an old wooden floor, and I'm going to go with this one from Cats and Dogs. And then on the walls, I want something bold. I think they'd express themselves a lot in their room. So maybe we can use something like that. I might actually swap over the Simfluencers one for this one, and then we can use the one we were using in there for our artists. For their bed, I'm going to use this wicker one from High School Years in this like sunny swatch, I think. And then for their bedside table, I'm going to use these ones from City Living in this like pink and yellow swatch. And then for their bedside lamps, I am again going to use these floral ones, because I think they just suit the place really well. And then I really want to use this from Movie Hangout, because it has like the best swatches that kind of look like they're hand painted. So maybe we'll do it in like this mint green colour, and we'll kind of tuck it into this corner here. So in this corner here, I think I'm going to give them their art studio, and I think they'd have quite a big one. So let's give them maybe the one with the swatch that's kind of got the paint everywhere, you know, things have got a little bit messy. And then I'm going to pull out these canvases and kind of tuck them behind, as if these are all the artworks that they've done and they've got no room to like display them, so they're just kind of putting them behind the paintings here. And for a rug, I think we'll go with this one that has like the paint splotches, and I'm going to kind of layer a couple to kind of try and cover as much of the space as I can. I want to give them somewhere where they can put like the paintbrushes and stuff, and I normally go with this one just because I think it looks artistic, but let's see if we can find a different one to mix it up. Maybe we could go with these, and maybe this is where like they keep all their paints and stuff. Maybe they paint outdoors or something, so they kind of have something that they can kind of go on the move with. And I'm going to pop some of these paint boxes, these big paint pots on top of it. And then I think I'm going to give them this High School Years dresser in the corner here. Again, it kind of looks a bit customized, and I think they would probably come in and add some stickers to it. And just kind of add an artistic touch to like all of their furniture, and then we'll just add a cute little mirror above it. And I kind of want to give them some graffiti on their back wall, and then maybe here we can like give them one of these spots so that they could come in and do something on there. Okay, cool. So I think this is the inside of their bedroom done. They have their big art studio over here, and then they have their bedroom furniture, which they have all customized over there. And then let's move on to their balcony. Okay, so out here I have just added in some string lights to make it like super cozy, a little seat where they can sit down with like a nice rug, and then the drawing tablet. And then over here they have, if they want to do like more traditional art with like a canvas and stuff. And I think that is it for our artist's bedroom. Okay, so this bedroom has a little bedroom here, and then we also have like this kind of like enclosed deck area. So let's see what they're gonna get. Okay, so they are going to get an engineer. Okay, interesting. So maybe this could be like their bedroom, and then off their bedroom they have like this little workshop here. I might just come in with like a grey wallpaper. Maybe this like tile effect one is kind of cool. And then like we'll go with like this flooring because it's like a little bit interesting, which I think an engineer might appreciate. I'm gonna give them this desk from Get Together in the corner here, and it just about fits. And then we'll give them a beefy computer because they'll be needing to do all like their designs and stuff on it, and then a really comfy chair. I might give them this bed from Base Game because it's like a little bit funky, and again I think an engineer would appreciate that. Like I think they're into like a little bit of different architecture, and then maybe we'll just give them this Base Game bedside table. Okay, I changed my mind. I've changed it a little bit. I kind of want to go for more of an industrial look in here, so I've gone with this exposed brick, a pallet bed, and then let's see if we can change the desk to something a little bit more suited to our room. Maybe this one. Yeah, this like metal one I think we'll do in like a black colour. And for the curtains, I might go with these ones from Werewolves. I'm also going to give them a tablet just because maybe they go off out and do stuff, or maybe they do like digital drawing. So I'm going to give them that, like maybe like mock-ups and stuff. Okay, above their desk here I've added in this shelving unit. I just put a couple of things on it. So these dolls that maybe they've painted themselves, a couple of plants, and then this artwork thing I imagine maybe they made it as a kid and it kind of where their passion for engineering started. And then I think for artwork I'm going to use these ones which are kind of like plans of buildings, and then I'm going to add this black dresser in the corner there, and maybe find like an armchair I think they would like. Maybe this one from Snowy Escape. Or we could even do like one of these like modular ones from Eco Lifestyle. I think they're cool. And then I think I'm just going to pop a little plant there in the corner. Maybe our engineer would like some graffiti behind their bed. So let's come in and maybe do a different one from our artist, because I think it matches like the industrial style we're going for. And then we'll add like one of these posters. It's like band posters and stuff over on this wall here. And I think that's it for their bedroom. So now let's go on to this, which is kind of be their workshop. And I might bring in the same colour scheme, and then we'll add like loads of stuff for them where they can do all their work and stuff. I kind of feel like I want to give them a chess table because I think they might be like kind of logical and into chess. So I'm going to add one of these down this end. And then down this end they are of course going to get the robotics station where they do most of their work. And maybe like a chemistry lab. Maybe like their robotics stuff needs some materials and items that they'd get from a chemistry lab. And then I'm going to add some of these bulbs for lighting, which are like the Bear Bulb wall sconces, which I really love. And they don't have too much more space because it's quite a narrow like space, so I don't add a lot. So I'm just going to add in a hanging plant, and I think that's about it. So they've got somewhere where they can have like a bit of downtime where they can play some chess with their friends, and then this is where they'll do all their engineering and their robotics. And that is our last room, guys, and that is the end of the build. You'll have to let me know what you think though. Let me know which room is your favourite. Let me know if you think I nailed the brief. And we have so more careers left. We have a ton, so if you want me to do another build where we try some of the other careers, feel free to let me know. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!